Hello everyone, it's Brian here in Canada, up in the Great White North. Today I thought I would participate in, I guess it's a thread started by Kyle at Stack's channel, and I will leave a link to his channel, of course. He has called it the Duolingo Challenge, and that simply means that you are to discuss a few songs. He chose 5 that have lyrics from 2 languages in the song. So that's pretty easy to do. By the way, I am a Duolingo user myself. My streak is currently, I think it's 1,083 days, something like that. Anyway, when I saw his video, I think it was more than 10 days ago. I think it was released 10 days or 2 weeks ago. I went ahead and made a list of tracks that were in 2 languages. So like English and Spanish, English and German. I even found a couple that were in 3 languages. I discounted those because there were too many languages, but there's one in English, French, and English, German, and Russian. There's another one that had Latin in it. Anyway, whatever the case, I just threw those ones away, and then I decided to throw everything away and change my focus because of the insane political environment in North America right now. You know, Canadian sovereignty is under attack. Our economy is under threat. And so what I thought I would do is focus on Canadian artists. So I've chosen 7 Canadian artists singing in both of our official languages, so French and English. You know, I don't often make political statements here. Once I opened a video by saying, "Hello, it's Brian up here in the 51st state," more or less as a kind of a lighthearted comment on what was happening. But I felt it was important for me to focus on Canada in this one. So everything's Canadian here and everything's French and English. So let's start with a great song from Leonard Cohen from his second record, Songs from a Room, from 1969. There's a track on here called The Partisan, or Le Partisan, which is a song that many people thought that he wrote, but in fact he didn't. It was written by Anna Marley, who was a Russian-born musician. Lyrics were added during the French Resistance in World War II. So this song is, in fact, an anti-fascist anthem of the French Resistance in World War II. Lyrics were later changed by a guy named Hi Zaret, which is the version that Leonard Cohen sings. When you listen to the song, you will hear lines that talk about, you know, fighting, resisting the enemy, that kind of thing. And there's some really well done production. There's some nice women's voices in here. There are stanzas in English and then stanzas in French, and it works really well. Even if you don't know what the French is saying, it kind of works. I will put some lyrics on the screen, which you can pause and read, or you can just skip by, whatever you like. So really fantastic song from Leonard Cohen. And just to add some more color to that, here is the original 1969 French pressing of The Partisan with Bird on the Wire on the flip side. And here's the Le Partisan from Leonard Cohen. Fantastic. Next, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite Canadian singers and my favorite Canadian guitarist, Bruce Cockburn, Further Adventures of, from 1978, his 8th record. He did one record a year for 12 years, and then he took a year off, and then he did 2 more the next year, and he's up to something like 29 records or something like that. Very prolific, originally from Ottawa. And on his first several records, well, not the first one, but the record number 2 up until whatever, he always had a French-Canadian song on it. So a French song. He'd write the lyrics in French, sing it in French. This one has a song that's kind of half French, half English, called Prenons la mer, which means let's go to sea. It's the 4th track on side A, which you'll never be able to see here. Again, I'll put some lyrics up, but a really great song. Yeah, Bruce Cockburn, fantastic. And now, thirdly, possibly the weirdest song ever to come out of Canada from a band I've mentioned before. In fact, I've talked about this song before. It's from Max Webster. This is the band's self-titled release from 1976. This is the band that brought Kim Mitchell to fame. He went solo after this band's 5th record. We have this weird reference to old Canadian style beer store. They were often compared with Frank Zappa back in the day. That may or may not be true, but the last track on side A is called Toronto Tontos, which was a big fan favorite. It was a favorite of my friends and I way back when we saw them live. This came out in 76. I didn't see them until 79 or early 80, but we were just waiting for that song to come on. Abstract lyrics, crazy lyrics. Now, there's 4 members of this band, Kim Mitchell being the most famous. He's the only consistent member. But there's an unofficial 5th member. His name is Pi Dubois. He's a Montreal poet. And he co-wrote almost all of the Max Webster songs, the lyrics. Well, he contributed the lyrics to those songs, except for a few that were written by other band members. He also co-wrote Tom Sawyer with Neil Peart for Rush, and a couple of other songs he co-wrote with Rush as well. So a very interesting guy. Again, I'll put lyrics up here. You can pause it if you want to, but just weird, crazy, unintelligible lyrics with a good deal of French lyrics mixed in with it. So hard to understand what the song is about, but fantastic. This next one is one I've shown very recently. It's Rush, Hemispheres from 1978, their 6th record with this weird brain cover. And of course, you'll know the song Circumstances. And Geddy Lee sings, Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. The more the things change, the more they stay the same. Well-known song. I'm sure you've heard it before. There's not much French in that, just a couple lines, but it's really cool. Next, I've chosen the debut record from 2004 from Montreal's Arcade Fire. I guess we have a lot of Quebec in this video. Actually, I think wasn't this recorded in Quebec somewhere? Anyway, a couple of tracks on here would have made the cut, but I've chose Haiti, track number 8 from the band, which is given in both French and English. For example, it starts with Haiti, mon pays, my country. Wounded mother, I'll never see. Ma famille set me free. My family set me free. My family set me free. Throw my ashes into the sea. Mes cousins jamais nés. Anyway, it goes on, French and English, all the way through the track, and I think it's really well done. It's a cool track. Great band. Well, are they still a great band? I'm not sure. Next, again, one of my absolute favorite Canadian artists. This guy would be definitely in the top 5. That is Daniel Lanois. This is Acadie from 1989. He was born in Hull, Quebec. Moved to Hamilton, Ontario at some point, started Grant Avenue Studios. He's produced a list of legendary artists such as Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Emmylou Harris, Peter Gabriel, U2, Aaron Neville, other people too I'm going to forget. Of course, he's well known for having an interesting studio down in New Orleans. On this record, we have a track called Jolie Louise. He produced Robbie Robertson as well, I think. That is a really great example of a song in French and English because he alternates back and forth almost every line. So let me just read you tell you a bit. So the first line is Ma jolie, how do you do, in English and French. And then he goes, the next line is in French, next line is in English, next line is in almost entirely English except for the end. Then he goes back to French, English, French, English, English. No, there's French, English, French, all the way through the song. So pretty much every line or two, he switches back and forth between the languages. He mentions Toronto in the song. He mentions Gatineau. Even if you don't understand French, this song is very effective. It's very evocative. His voice is fantastic. The production on this record is just incredible. So I really recommend this record to be one of my favorite Canadian records ever. And let's round it out with another band from Montreal, a pop rock band out of Montreal called The Box. This is their second record from 1985 called All the Time, All the Time, All the Time. There's a really strange song here that I understand the record company didn't want them to release as a single, but they did, and it actually did quite well. It's called L'Affaire du Montier, or Say to Me. It's weird because, and I can see why the record company may not had wanted to release it, because it is a song about a murder trial, but it's delivered in a way that's almost reporting. So he starts out and says, he speaks these words on the 14th of October, very early in the morning. The results of a crime were found in the stables of Le Père Choupin. The old man had discovered to his absolute dismay the dislocated body of Elizabeth Dumontier. So There is some singing, though. The chorus is sung firstly by women who sing this refrain, walking, walking on the tightrope of insanity, and then he sings. But it then goes back to this reporting, this kind of like speaking. The police were called in. I was handed an inquiry. But there are characters in the song. There's a reporter who only speaks in French. The commissioner says something in French. The reporter again speaks something in French. And at the end, the judge renders his verdict in French, which is non coupable, not guilty for reasons of insanity. So anyway, pretty interesting band. I saw them live, actually, I think when this, or in 85 or 86, I think. Anyway, pretty curious song. An unlikely single, but there you go. So I'd be curious to see your response to the Duolingo challenge. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.